The year is 2050 and everybody's in a hurry. So we're gonna get through this really fast. These are your talents. These are your PvP talents. For azerite traits, you want spiteful apparitions and death throws. For stat priority, you want to have crit and haste, just like last season. And for essences, you want to be running conflict and strife as your main essence. And for your minor one, you want blood of the enemy, focusing iris, lucid dreams, condensed life force. They're all pretty decent. They're all pretty equal as well. So pick whichever one you like the most. And then for gameplay, you pretty much just want to keep your dots up on everybody, and then you spam void bolts. Enjoy your content. And now, for the rest of us, the time travelers, let me crack open an old one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to my 8.2 Shadow Priest arena guide. I'm gonna go through this a little more in depth this time. And I want to start off, this is gonna be more of a very nerdy guide, okay? I'm gonna go through them really slow. We're gonna take our time and we're gonna nerd it out together. So first off, I want to talk about stats and stat priority. Stat priority. Now, after I explain everything, there is an argument to be made about a Haste versatility set, which I have right here, and it's pretty decent. But realistically, crit haste is superior for threes. It does more damage, and at the end of the day, that's pretty much, you wanna kill the bad guys. You wanna put them down, okay? So you're going to be running crit and haste. You want as much crit and as much haste together. If you could get like 30% and 30%, that would be ideal. After crit and haste, you have versatility. And after versatility, you have mastery. You don't care as much about intellect, although obviously you don't want to equip really low item level, because intellect and damage itself does get scaled a little bit in arena. But the rule of thumb is the more damage you can do in PvE, the more damage you do in PvP as well. It gets scaled a little bit, but at the end of the day, don't think about it too much. So crit and haste is the best way to go in PvP. Now, since we're going crit and haste, just like last season, our best traits are spiteful and death throws. Death throws are our highest damage increasing trait that we have. Spiteful apparitions used to be the highest, but it got nerfed pretty bad. And yeah, together they're the best. The best. So you want to have 3 of these. I have 1, 2, and 3. It's really good. If you're wondering where you get the gear, you can get the helmet just from PvP. You get the chest. There is a PvP chest as well. I have it right here. A PvP chest. Bam. Death throws and spiteful. And then the shoulders are a bit of a problem. Shoulders with death throws and spiteful, there's only 1 pair of shoulders, and it is from the Mythic Plus Gamble lottery thing. Yeah. So I bought a 435. The 435 lottery ticket is 9,000 Titan Residium, which is not that bad. I recommend you do the same. Just get a 435 first, and then I'll save 200,000 Titan Residium, and then I'll buy the 485 in like 2 months from now. So yeah, that's your gear. And now I want to talk a little bit about essences. All right, for threes, conflict and strife is by far your best major trait. Not only because you get a free life swap, which you always are forced to play, but you actually get the most damage increase as well. So you get versatility, you get 8 stacks really fast, and look at that. Dispelling, interrupting, or applying a loss of control effect grants a stack of strife, and versatility granted by strife is doubled for the next 5 seconds. Guess what? Guess what Shadow Priests are really good at? That's right, spamming Purge. That's right, so you always have double versatility from strife. So you get a lot of versatility, especially in matchups against rest of druids when you get trained down and pummeled down by 2 melee and all you end up doing is just purge anyway. It gives you so much versatility, and versatility scales really well, and it actually increases your damage quite a lot, especially if it's, you know, low to begin with, since you're prioritizing crit and haste. So in my mind, there is no doubt about Conflict and Strife being the best one, the best major trait for Shadow Priests. Now for the minor ones, obviously I don't have this one yet because I'm not that sweaty, but for the minor ones, like I said before, I think Blood of the Enemy is really good. I need to farm this up to level 3 ASAP. I think other stuff like Condensed Life Force is good, Focusing Iris is good, Lucid Dream is good, even Crucible of Flame is really good. This one's trash. Vision of Perfection and World Vein are kind of bad, really bad actually, especially World Vein. But the problem with stuff like Crucible of the Flame, Condensed Life Force, they're proc based with no internal cooldown. So I've seen people have the passive, the minor from Crucible of Flame be their top damage as a Demon Hunter. So if you're extremely lucky, it can get some ridiculous numbers. But usually when I play, it's not that high. And then Focusing Iris is amazing, but I don't know which one's better. Once I get my level 65, once I get sweaty enough and get my 65, I'll probably play Blood of the Enemy and Focusing Iris. I think those are the best. But then again, Lucid Dream is also good. Lucid Dream, if you have level 3, it gives you 365 versatility when the minor procs. So it actually stacks with Conflict and Strife. So you get a lot of versatility when it procs, and then if you get stunned, all that versatility translates into reduced damage taken. It's pretty nice, but I find that Lucid Dream procs very little in PvP for some reason. So I'm not gonna play Lucid Dream, even though it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. So that's it for essences, I guess. Next up, we're gonna move over to our favorite debate, the talents. All right, talents. When it comes to talents, there's really not a lot of room to wiggle. Everybody's playing the same talents. Everybody's playing the same talents, guys. So yeah, there is no special butterfly Shadow Priest here. So on the first tier, Shadowy Insight just nets you the most Mind Blast per game. I mean, theoretically, if you could completely free cast, Shadow Word Void does get you more Mind Blasts, but that means, that assumes that you're free casting, Shadow Word Void on cooldown, and you never let 2 stacks just sit there, and that's not gonna happen in PvP since you have so many buttons you want to press. You want to press Purge a lot. You want to even press Mind Flay if you're playing Mind Trauma. But yeah, Shadowy Insight there's no question about it in my mind. And then we have, actually these are all pretty decent. For 3s, you always want to go Intangibility, or at least I always want to go Intangibility because I like to not die when I press Dispersion. But for 2v2, Body and Soul is really good. Sand Lane is also good, especially when you fight DKs, when you press your Vampiric Embrace and you pair it up with a Void Eruption on all his pets. It's basically a lay on hands for someone. It's a little random because you can't pick the target that's getting healed, but it's really, really nice when, you heal someone that's almost dead to full HP. It's very juicy. But overall, I'd say Intangibility. Just stick with Intangibility. For the next tier, Miseries. Pretty much always go Misery. I would say Twist of Fate, like in duels maybe, but even then, just stick with Misery. It frees up a lot of globals not having to press Shadow Word Pain on its own. Of course, you can press Shadow Word Pain on its own if you want to, and a lot of times I do, but it's way faster to just dot everyone by playing Misery. So Misery, yeah, there's no question about it. On the level 60 tier, these are all pretty decent. It kind of depends on what comp you play. Generally speaking, 90% of the time I play Psychic Horror because I like having the triple DRCC. That's what Shadow Priests are super good for and very annoying for. You have Silence DR, you have a Stun DR, and you have a Fear DR with your Silence, your Stun, and your Fear. So this gives you your stun. Alternatively, if you play with a class that has a lot of stuns, you might want to go Last Word because you don't want to DR your stuns. So Last Word is pretty decent if you play with a rogue, let's say. And Mind Bomb is also pretty good if you want to have long CC chains and it's hard for you to go get fears. Maybe if you play with a hunter. When I play with a hunter, a lot of times I play Mind Bomb, and we can line up a trap into a Mind Bomb every single time, or a Mind Bomb into a trap. So they're all pretty decent, but most of the times I would just say, just pick Psychic Horror. For the next tier, oof. This is an oof. Because Auspicious Spirits got nerfed big time, and I made a video about this, but basically, if you have triple Spiteful Apparitions, a Spiteful Apparition, the trait, does 75% more damage if you do not have this talent picked. So if you pick this talent in PvE, you actually do less damage with your apparitions, but in PvP, since your traits are 50% lower, you get the 75%, but it's 50% lower than than what it is in PvE. It ends up basically Auspicious Spirits increases your damage of your ghosts by a tiny bit. I'm talking like 100 to 200 damage per apparition, and an apparition hits for like 6k in PvP, so that's not a lot of damage increase. You do, however, get the extra insanity from it. You do get the 2 insanity per ghost, but overall I would say Shadow Crash is just a way better choice, purely for the insanity generation. Shadow Word Death is also very good, and a lot of times I pick this one when I want to finish things off, and more setup based comps. But for AoE spread pressure, I think Shadow Crash just nets more insanity than Auspicious Spirits and even more damage. So I would suggest Shadow Crash in general, or Shadow Word Death. I would suggest Auspicious Spirits only in an RBG kind of scenario, or something along those lines where you can fully free cast and you have very high crit. If you have very high crit and you can cast on a lot of targets, then Auspicious Spirits does beat Shadow Crash. Alright, next up we have level 90. Level 90, Void Torrent is poo-poo. So we only have Lingering Insanity and Mindbender. Lingering Insanity is amazing because Haste is amazing, but Mindbender is good for, again, setup-based comps. So most of the times I would go Lingering Insanity because it gives you just passive haste. Just passive throughout the game. You have more haste, therefore more damage, therefore more void bolts, therefore more kills. But if you play a setup-based comp, or even in 2v2 if you want to kill things in a setup, like triple CC, like if you play God comp maybe, triple CC, and then you go Shadow Word Death and Mindbender, and you just every minute you have a Mindbender, you have maybe your Void form, you have your Fear, your full CC, and you kill someone in a go, then Mindbender is decent, but that's your spec right there. And then for level 100, I've never seen anyone play these. You can't even play Surrender to Madness in Arena still. It's still Surrender to Memes. And Dark Ascension, there's no point because you play Void Origins, so you don't need the instant. Yeah, you always play Legacy of the Void because you need less insanity to activate it, and you get 5% additional damage, so always go Legacy of the Void. Now for the PvP talents, as far as Trinket goes, if you're not a human, you should always go Medallion. Even if you're human, you might want to still go Medallion. There are some situations where I will go Relentless, but I don't know if that's a really good idea. Like against a Druid Mage kind of composition, or Mage Warlock, sometimes I go Relentless because I don't want to sit in CC forever. But ideally, as a Shadow Priest, you kind of have to play Medallion so you can Trinket swap. When I say swap, I mean life swap. And you have life swap because you play Conflict and Strife. So Conflict and Strife gives you life swap baseline. So you want to have Medallion in case you want to Trinket swap someone. Bam! Trinket swap real quick. So yeah, always play Medallion, almost. Now for the other PvP talents, I'll start with these two. Greater Fade and Void Origins. I never ever touch these. They're super strong. Void Origins is amazing. I did make the argument in the past that it is not in fact a damage increase, and it's not. But not playing with Void Origins after I play with it for an expansion and a half is so bad. It feels so bad having to cast your Void Eruption. Again, if you're never getting line of sighted and never, getting interrupted, you don't need Void Origins. It's not a damage increase, but it feels super bad to not have it because you can't run and press. You're trying to kite someone and then bam, Void Erupt. You can't. You have to sit there and cast. you have to play Void Eruption. And then Greater Fate is just an amazing and very strong cooldown. It's kind of like a bubble every 45 seconds for 4 seconds. It's not exactly a bubble, it's more like a deterrent for hunters. Well, I guess aspect of the turtle. Just makes... it says most spells will miss you and most abilities. It basically says causing most melee, ranged, and spells to miss you. It says most because the only spells that do go through are, for instance, Vendetta goes through, and all the kicks in the game go through. So you can get kicked, you can get counterspelled, you can get pummeled, mind frozen, everything. But it's still an amazing talent. Now for the last one, this is a little questionable. I have Mind Trauma. Basically, the choices are Mind Trauma, Siphoned, or Driven to Madness. I don't think there's anything else that's actually worth looking into. Void Shield's trash. Edge of Insanity, it's kind of bad. I mean, not bad. It's terrible. Psychic Link is also really bad. Shadow Mania, I mean, I guess maybe, but it's not great. So I would make the argument that Mind Trauma is the best. The problem with Mind Trauma is it's hard for me to stop. It's hard. It's hard because you get to the point where you see these stacks and you want more. You want more. You want more, and then you forget about other things you have to press. Oh, look at my haste right now. It's 47% just for sucking some haste from from this target dummy. Mind Trauma is amazing, I think. And if you just treat it as a normal priority system, like you Void Bolt first, you keep your dots up, and then when you have time, you don't think about Mind Trauma too much. Obviously, if you have 4 stacks, you might want to give it a bit of a higher priority and keep your 4 stacks. But if you don't, then oh well, so be it. Mind Trauma on its own, even 1 stack of Mind Trauma is a way bigger damage increase than anything else here, even Driven to Madness, in my opinion. I think Mind Trauma, again, 1 stack of Mind Trauma is a bigger damage increase than anything else you can get. Just one stack, that's it, just 1. And of course, your target deals less damage because of Mind Trauma. Again, the problem with Mind Trauma is you tend to over Mind Flay, which is really bad. But I think that's not a good enough reason to not play it. I think you should just learn when to use it. And when I free cast, when I play with a Warlock and he's getting attacked and I'm sitting in the back and free casting and sucking haste off everyone, that makes me a threat. So that feels good. It kind of forces people to go on me, which feels bad. But being a threat feels good. And then we have Siphoned, which at higher rating just gets one-shot almost all the time. It's not completely useless. Even if you Siphon just 1 heal, sometimes it's worth it. You can see I don't know, a Resto Shaman casting a chain heal, and you don't have any kicks, and you bam throw a Siphoned, and reduces half of it, and maybe a Riptide or something. So Siphon is not bad, even if it dies fast. It's sometimes pretty decent, and plus it forces people to react to it, so it's not bad even if it dies. And then Driven to Madness, you'll see a lot of people play Driven to Madness, especially in tournaments, because they do get shut down a lot. I think if you get shut down and if you get kicked a lot and there's not much you can do, Driven to Madness is a very, very solid choice. It keeps you, you're basically in Void from the whole game. You're in Void from the whole game, and hey, that's pretty good, right? Being in Void from all game, that's great. And I think that's it for the talents. And now, the last thing I want to talk about is gameplay. And then the Haste Versa. So for gameplay, the gameplay is very basic. There's a lot of utility and a lot of things you could be doing as a Shadow Priest. You can peel a lot, you can mind control, obviously, you can off-heal your teammates, you can do a lot, you can grip people that are sheeped into an orb from a mage to break the sheep, or a blind. You have a lot of utility as a priest, but general gameplay is very basic. The way you do damage is you keep your dots up on all the targets. There you go, 3 targets, 3 sets of damage, and then as soon as you have your Void Eruption, you want to have some CC on the healer. Let's say this guy's the healer, I'll play him on focus, and you have Void Eruption. You're gonna go in Void form, you're gonna silence the healer, you're gonna Void Bolt on cooldown, you're gonna stun the healer, and you're gonna Void Bolt again, you're gonna press Fear. You're gonna kill this guy, you're gonna Void Bolt. The way you Void Bolt, I actually suggest a lot of people do PvE, I started doing PvE and it actually increased my void bolt per void form ratio a lot. I think PvE is actually amazing, and it helps a lot in PvP as well. So basically, the PvE rotation, in case you guys are like I was and never PvE, you have 2 globals in between every void bolt. So, and you wanna just stick to that. So you want a void bolt, mind blast, spam mind flay, void bolt, and then shadow crash. Let's say mind flay, void bolt. Again, mind blast, mind flay, void bolt. Instant mind blast, mind flay, void bolt. Okay, I'm getting lucky now, but I'm trying to show you. Okay, no more, nothing to cast. Dispel, mind flay, this. Okay, dispel, and now we'll do another one. You know, ideally you want to kind of stick to that. Obviously you're not going to sit there and cast spam mind flays and mind blast, but if you want to maximize your damage, that's how you do it. And that's it. That's your whole rotation. Just keep dots on everyone and spam void bolt. That's it. That's your whole rotation. And then you keep your CC up. Every minute you have a big go. You have a fear, you have a silence, you have a stun, you have a void form ideally, and you kill people. And that's it. And now I want to talk a little bit about my other spec, which is that there is a little discussion to be made about my... Oh, I'm playing Haste versatility. Wait, what? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Equip. Okay, now I am. There is a little bit of a discussion to be made about my Haste versus spec, because in theory it does decent damage. So when you play Auspicious Spirits and crit and stuff, I don't know where it is, the one where I actually did damage. It's not this one. Is it this one? It's probably this one. It's probably this one. So again, we're in PvE, so this is not very accurate. Normally it would be my Shadow Word Pain would be first, and then my Auspicious Spirits and my Vampiric Touch in a PvP scenario. But since my traits are not reduced at all, my Shadow Apparitions deal almost 15k damage. So this is not very exact and you know, a good indicator. But just consider Shadow Apparitions was half, right? So if we don't play crit, basically this top one goes away. It just PP poof goes away, all right? So we have VT, Void Bolt, you know, everything else. And the actual crits you get from these spells is a little irrelevant in PvP. However, it seems like I got a lot of crits on this target dummy, but in PvP your crit damage is reduced by half as well. So the crit damage itself doesn't really matter that much in PvP. You go crit so you can proc a lot of Shadow Apparitions. That's the main idea. So then the idea is, if your Shadowy Apparitions is, you know, below your VT and your Shadow Word Pain, then why not ignore crit completely and just play a lot of Haste, which Haste increases your VT damage and your Shadow Word Pain damage by a lot, and then you play a lot of versatility. And if you have something like 15 or even 20% versatility, it effectively increases all your damage by 20%. So everything. So even the Mind Flays, the VTs, the Mind Blasts, everything. And 20% of all your damage is definitely more than just Shadowy Apparitions. Like Shadowy Apparitions in PvE here, where they're double damage basically, here they're 20%. So again, in theory, versatility does really, really good. However, I've tried it, I've tested it a bunch of times. Maybe I don't have the azerite or the gear for it yet, but it's still under crit. Whenever I look at it, it feels like, why isn't it doing more damage? It should do more. Because if I mouse over everything, everything does more damage. Look at my Shadow Word Pain in my versatility gear, Haste Versa. Shadow Word Pain does 40,000 damage. And in my crit, it does 35k. And it's my highest damage in Arena, usually. And my Void Bolt does more, I have more Haste, again, and I'm tankier. I think Haste versatility is actually really, really decent. But the problem with that is your essences. Your azerite traits, I'm sorry. So again, your number one trait is always going to be Death Throes. It increases your damage by, you know, the most. But then your second one, if you play versatility, should probably be a Thought Harvester. And the problem with this is there's no gear with it. There's only a helmet, as far as I know. There's only this helmet that has both of them. There is a chest piece from King Rastakhan, but that's obviously outdated. I have a 445 with Death Throes and this thing, but this thing is really bad. but I will keep upgrading my Haste versatility set, and if it yields a positive results in the future, I will make sure to inform the community, because right now, you know, I'm wearing 410, 400 at level. My haste versa gear is not amazing, like 395 gloves. You know, it's not the best. 410, 420. Okay, yeah, it's not the best, but again, more experiments shall be made, and I will let you guys know in the future. Guys, that's it for my mini guide. I hope I covered everything. I'm getting questions on my Twitch a lot regarding azerite traits. I bet I will in the future as well. So I'm just gonna direct everyone here. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found this a little useful, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.